Bangladesh versus New Zealand, game number 9 of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2019. New Zealand put Bangladesh into bat. 244 is what the Bangla Tigers have managed. The standout performer with the bat for them was Shakib Al Hasan. And then, as far as the bowling is concerned for New Zealand, you had that man, Matt Henry. 4 wickets for just 47 runs, and then wickets there for Trent Bolt as well as for Lockie Ferguson, Colin Gronholm, as well as Chelsea. The lone spinner that you had in the team. I'm Nikhil Naz, you're watching ESPNcricinfo Match Day. We've got a full house here. Daren, Ganga, Ajit, Agarkar alongside me in the studio. Also Kyle Mills joins us via our link, as well as Shahriar Nafees joining us on the link as well. Shahriar, I'll start with you. Same ground. Bangladesh put up a record score, not so much this time, 244. How do you see this?
I think Bangladeshi batsmen will be disappointed with the score they have put in. New Zealand bowled well. They used the short ball well. But what I believe that the short ball didn't make the problems. The problem started, Tamim and Shomu had a 45 runs partnership. Then Mushfiq and Sakib had a 50 runs partnership, and then Mithun and Sakib had 45 run partnership. In a one-day match, you would like to have these 45-50 partnerships into 100, 120, 130 runs partnership. So the Bangladesh score never got that momentum they wanted to have, and that's why they ended up scoring 244. If there was a bigger partnership, I think and I believe that Bangladesh could have got something around 310, 320, which they did in the last match.
Kyle, we see 244 on the board for Bangladesh. I mean, it's safe to say that New Zealand would be rather happy, but the pitch didn't play out with the way the captain must have expected. We saw what it was, the end of the third over, and the slips were off.
Yeah, look, a couple of things here, Nikhil. I think, Bangladesh was staring down 300 plus there at one stage when Shakib Al Hasan was forming that nice partnership early on, but they weren't able to kick on. New Zealand were able to bring the pressure back, and picking up wickets throughout the later half of that innings was key to that, and they'll be delighted to have to restrict them to 244 runs. Yeah, good point about the wicket conditions. It certainly didn't swing or move around as much as I think Kane Williamson would have anticipated or thought. But they built pressure, there weren't too many loose balls along the way, and they created opportunities, and I thought they fielded exceptionally well, led by Martin Guptill.
All right, fielding was great, but it just takes me to that point, both of them mentioning that it looked like 300 plus that Bangladesh would reach there. Do you think that is where the problem was? I'm just going to that dismissal of Mithun, trying to accelerate, probably could have spent a little more time there?
I think aiming a little higher? No, I think it's the run out that started it. I know they'd lost their openers by then, but the two most experienced guys and the informed guys who had that partnership before, Shakib had already got going. That misunderstanding. We often see run outs start a bit of a slide, and New Zealand just very good. Unlike South Africa, I have guys in form at the moment, kept chipping away. I mean, you want to avoid those sorts of things, the runouts. That at that point, especially because they'd had a decent start, and then nobody really, like Shahriar said, there was no partnership of substantial sort of partnership at that stage to get them to a total. Look, we've got to give credit to New Zealand, though. I think they've got their plans set. The bowlers are doing their job well, and made life a little bit difficult for Bangladesh than South Africa had on the other night.
Okay, as Ajit said, it was that run out that started this sort of a downfall for Bangladesh. Let's have a quick vote then in the studio, as well as with Kyle and Shahriar. Mushfiqur thought, Daren, that was a run. Shakib thought it wasn't a run. What was it for you?
Well, I think it looked like a run because he got far down the pitch before he was run out. He didn't get the response he expected from Shakib Al Hasan. But again, normally these two, they have good communication going for them. It's in that region, that sort of point region, where you're unsure which one has to take responsibility for calling. It looked like a run, but at that stage of the game with these two guys well set, I would not risk taking a single like that. That's a three-quarter single, so I would not say the run was on.
Okay, I know, Ajit, I'm not asking because I know that you're of the opinion that it was a run. Quick vote then from Shahriar as well as Kyle. What do you think? Shahriar, I'll start with you. Was it a run or not?
Whether that's a run or not, I think at that moment Saki was scoring in boundaries. So as Daren said that if there was a run, okay, there was a run, but as he was scoring and having a good partnership, you shouldn't take any kind of risk. And we have seen miscommunication just a couple of balls before. So you should have talked to the partner and said, okay, we are having a good time. Let's not take the New Zealand fielding on because New Zealand were brilliant on the field today.
All right, Kyle, then, I mean, as you know, the two experts here saying, doesn't matter was it a run or not, eventually it was that point that really turned the game. Sort of a gift that was given to New Zealand, would you say?
Absolutely. Certainly a key partnership. It was building, it was gaining momentum. Shakib Al Hussain could have been backing up a touch more, but hey, look, I'm a low order batter. I'm not going to judge those two top order batters when it comes to running between the wickets. But certainly, one of the New Zealand game plan in every single game was we have to get a run out, and they would have been delighted with that run out at that moment in the game.
All right. Even if you were a lower order batter, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're a good runner, you're a good runner. You can comment on what happened on that particular runner. Okay, I'm just going to run through now the dismissal, and we'll start with Soumya Sarkar. Darren, I'll start with you. He looked like the best player in the first game they played, was looking good here too. That particular dismissal, aiming a little bit more, I mean, playing across the line to get dismissed.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's batting on good form, in good rhythm. He looks like he's middling the ball nicely. Unfortunate for him getting a start and couldn't go on like he did in that game against South Africa. But I think you have to give it to New Zealand, the manner in which they built pressure. They were very disciplined. If you look at the boundary scoring production that Bangladesh had, they scored, what, 25 fours and 1 6, very different to what they did against South Africa. So that alone amplifies the discipline of this South African team. And sometimes, as a batting unit, you've got to stay in the present, recognize that, hey, this is a better opposition. We've got to find another way of scoring runs, maybe looking for the 2s and 3s as against trying to take risks. And I want to make the point again, the short ball accounted for a couple of these Bangladeshi batsmen. You look at Tamin Iqbal, rushed with a short delivery, a couple guys like Mohammad Mithun, even Mehdi Hassan, going down the track, getting the short ball and not being able to play it. So, yes, I know that they've played it well against South Africa. I still think that's a weapon that opposition teams can use against Bangladesh.
Okay, you make a point about that short pitch bowling. I'll take that to Shahriar a little later. Just coming back on that point about Soumya Sarkar. I mean, there'll be two schools of thoughts here. Some would say that you'd rather have him bat for longer, but what does he do? Maybe that's the role that he's playing with Tamim taking his time now, not the Tamim of old that
yeah, I think so. Again, I'm going to give credit to the bowler here. I mean, it was nice, full straight, at good pace. And okay, he's played across the line, but that's the way he's played. It looked really impressive till then, till that ball, and he's just missed the ball. I don't think he's going to change his game. We've seen him both the games how impressive he's been. That's just good bowling. I think when the ball's not really doing much in the air, there's no real reverse swing on offer. The length's great, and he's a bit late on it. Even though he's played across the line, there's enough behind the ball. So New Zealand's plans were spot on, and the execution was really good. They kept building pressure, even though at times it looked like Bangladesh were going to build partnerships or get away with it. They kept building that pressure.
Kyle, I'll come to you. The point that Daren was making about, New Zealand, when they realized that the pitch wasn't really doing much, the ball wasn't swinging, used that short pitch delivery. You think that extra pace that, someone like a Lockie Ferguson, Matt Henry had, that is what really undid the Bangladesh batsman?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Highlighted it in the pre-show. If it's not going to be swinging or seaming, they're going to try and push the Bangladesh batsmen onto the back foot. Push them back and then try and bring them forward. And it's about asking the batsman to hit your good ball for 4 or 6. If they can do that, well, fair play to them, they're a good player. And that dismissal of Sarkar was a good ball, nice and straight. It wasn't a half volley, it wasn't a short ball. Asking the batsman to generate a run rate off your good balls, went across the line, which produced the wicket.
Shahriar, Daren says that maybe this could be a weapon now teams might use against Bangladesh, but how do you see this play out? First match we saw them against South Africa, a few short pitch deliveries there, handled that rather well. Wasn't quite the case in this time.
No, you know, against the subcontinental teams, definitely the other teams will bring the short ball on. What I believe is Bangladesh have handled the short bowling in the last match. This match, what happened? Bangladesh didn't manage that well, but you know, most of the short balls didn't get the wickets. If you look at Mushfiq's wicket, that was a run out. If you look at Shakib's wicket, he handled a short ball well. Then it was a kind of a soft dismissal. If you look at Soumya Sarkar's wicket, it was a full straight ball. So yes, the short ball is going to come, but at this moment, what I believe Bangladeshi batsmen are confident enough to handle that. But you have to be a little bit of proactive, you know, like in a crucial match against New Zealand where you want to win, you don't want to have a run out like that. They could have been much better in that situation.
Just talking about Shahriar, about that Tamim Iqbal dismissal, you'd say that particular dismissal was the one where the short pitch ball really got the wicket?
Yes, that was a brilliant shot ball by Lockie Ferguson. Lockie Ferguson, by far one of the quickest bowler of New Zealand bowling attack. What I believe at this moment, looking at the last match, I believe that Tamim is taking himself a bit easy and trying to build up a partnership. But at this moment, watching today's batting of Tamim, I believe and I should support him. He should go there and hit the ball, and he's better when he's hitting the ball rather than defending the ball at this moment.
Okay, maybe a bit of a change in mindset is needed probably to rectify that. I'm just looking back at the score. As Shahriar was saying, it seemed like, you know, a lot of silly mistakes. But when do silly mistakes really happen? When you're aiming for score that is much larger than what you can get. Do you think that is what Bangladesh was guilty of? You know, trying to look at what they did last time, 330. Maybe if they were aiming at 280, 290.
Well, 280, 290, that was about par on this surface and at this venue. Every team will be aspiring to get that type of target, but it requires you to still assess the current conditions and what the opposition is doing. I think sometimes you can get a little bit carried away with your form as a team. Every match is a new opportunity for everyone. I felt that, you know, with the start that they had a real opportunity to get close to 300, and that is where the pressure built by New Zealand got the better of the Bangladeshis. But if you look at the average score in all the matches so far, average score is about 240. So you would take this as, you know, as a good effort on the part of Bangladesh. Again, I challenge the Bangladesh team to have the consistency that they showed against South Africa. It's about maintaining an intensity and being sharp all the time. That is not an easy thing to achieve, especially when you're playing against tough opposition teams, which are going to exploit you in different areas. Today, I felt before the short ball was bowled, the discipline before, the balls before that led to that short delivery being bowled, that to me was key. And I'm sure Ajit will know about this. I mean, you don't just run up and bowl a short ball, you set the batsman up, create pressure, and then use that as sort of a surprise weapon.
I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, that day, everything was according to the script. Brisk start, great partnership at number 3 and 4. And then the lower order had the time to finish the innings, of which they did exceptionally well. It changed a little bit with that run out. Unfortunately for them, 5, 6, 7 couldn't then bat long enough to get them to a better score than they eventually have. So that's what Daren's saying. You know, kind of the consistency if they can show. You're not always going to get your top 4 doing bulk of the work and 5, 6, 7 just coming to finish the innings off. When a situation arises, maybe they needed to be a little bit more responsibility on that 5, 6, 7 today.
Right. As Daren was also mentioning, you need to look at the average scores that you're getting. About 240, 250 may just be the average score. But probably going by tradition here at the Oval, we've seen a few scores of over 300. Maybe that is what Bangladesh had in mind. We'll take a short break, but plenty more coming up on the other side.
E is for Elliot. In the 2015 semi-final, an unbeaten New Zealand faced another team that had never made it to a World Cup final. In a tense last over, Dale Steyn had to defend 5 off 2 when all-rounder Grant Elliott smashed a length ball.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. We're talking about match number 9 between Bangladesh and New Zealand. New Zealand would be coming out to bat soon. The target set for them is 245 runs. So we'll have Martin Guptill out batting very, very soon. But we still have a bit of time there to discuss about the game that just gone by. Let's talk about Mitchell Santner now. He had a good outing today, picking up that 1 wicket, giving away with an economy of 4.10. I'll take that question to Shahriar. I mean, since Bangladesh have plenty of spinners in their rank, this must be encouraging for them that you had Santner come out with a good performance.
Yes, Mitchell Santner bowled well, and definitely it will give a lot of encouragement to the Bangladeshi spinners. Bangladeshi spinners need to bowl well. They need to bowl in the middle overs, because today's match, if Bangladesh needs to win, they need to bowl well in the middle overs. And Saqib and Mehdi Miraj, they need to bowl attacking. And the other seamers, if they are going to give good support with good fielding, Bangladesh will have a fair chances in the game.
Kyle, the other way of looking at it, I was talking about the figures of Mitchell Santner, which are looking good at the moment. But the other way of looking at it, we saw him bowl those 10 overs, really wasn't getting the ball to turn. Is it just because that is the nature of his bowling, or is it not there enough there in the pitch for the spin bowlers?
I think in England, it will not turn that much.
Kyle, that was for you.
Sorry, I thought so. Yeah. Look, this was a new wicket. Bangladesh last played a few days ago against South Africa. That was a used wicket, so their spinners came into play a lot more. With Kane Williamson having won the toss today and bowling first, still on a new wicket under lights. Look, it's not going to break up too much. I think this is an exceptional one-day wicket. You're getting good pace and carry from all the fast bowlers. Just a touch of turn, not a great deal for Mitchell Santner. Exceptionally fast outfield and probably a 300-plus wicket, in my opinion. Able to restrict them to 244, which is fantastic. And I don't see, under lights, the spinners being a huge threat to this New Zealand batting lineup.
Right. So what is it that the Bangladesh spinners then need to do? As Kyle is saying, it's a new pitch. It's not going to offer too much turn there. I mean, but we saw Santner use whatever little conditions he got in his favour. Yeah,
I mean, I thought the ball gripped a lot more than I thought it would, considering it's a fresh pitch. I think you still bowl. I don't think Mehdi is a big turner of the ball anyway. I think he's usually quite consistent bowls, straight lines, and makes the batsman work for their runs. Shaqib's a little bit different. If there is something on offer, bowls obviously round armish will get that little bit of turn. I don't think Bangladesh is going to approach this innings any different to what they did in the previous game. I think Mustafizur started to look good again. Seemed to have lost a little bit of pace in between. Whatever little bit I've seen in this practice games and the first game seems to be back again, which they'll want him to try and get a wicket or two early with the new ball. I think that is the one thing that they'd ideally like in the first 10 overs, get a wicket, maybe 2. And that'll help them put a bit more pressure with their spin later on.
Right. So if there were ever conditions that would suit someone like Mustafizur, is this sort of a pitch, which isn't really swinging, but he loves his cutters.
Yeah, he loves his cutters, and he's been amongst the wickets in the last game, so his confidence will be high. Just to add to that point, in terms of the slow bowlers, I think they've got to recognize the role that they play in this Bangladesh bowling lineup. As we've seen in many of the matches, the seamers, they're dominating to a large extent. So that will probably prompt Shakib Al Hasan and Mahdi Hassan to know that, hey, they can't be too extravagant in terms of their lines and lengths. They've got to try and make sure they create the right amount of pressure when they come on so that their seamers could build upon it. If they can get early wickets, if they can probably get the ball to reverse when it gets a little bit older, like we've seen with Mohammad Saifuddin, it could be problems. And like we've seen with the New Zealand approach, it wasn't a case of blasting the opposition out. They built pressure slowly by bowling a lot of dot deliveries, and they were very disciplined in how they used their short deliveries. So I think the key, if Bangladesh are to win this game, will be the discipline in their bowling and the support in their out cricket as well. Good catching, good fielding. The more pressure you create, this is not a 136 total like New Zealand had against Sri Lanka. So more scoreboard pressure, you would say, in this encounter.
Okay, so discipline, that's the key word in whatever Daren was saying at the moment. If I was to sum up, you've got to be really, really disciplined, because it seems like a 300-plus sort of a wicket, but Bangladesh managed just 244. That's all that we have for you at the moment. It's over to live action.